Hello everyone. Today I'll be reviewing the Karin Everon based on the Toyota Hilux produced between 2004 to 2015, but takes heavy influence from the Arctic truck kit, which was also famously shown on Top Gear for those who know. It's on the off-road class and costs between 1.4 million with a trade price of 1.1 million, but is not a removed website car. The customization options are good, but some of the options are also shared with the Vapid car, as you can see with the bumpers. And later I'll show you more with the liveries, which is a bit reused with that truck. I'll leave the stock bumper option on because I feel that it looks better. I didn't choose anything for the front bumpers because of the front splitter that is forced for every option. It could ruin the ground clearance a bit, and it just looks a bit ugly, so I'll just leave it off. For the exhaust, you can really do whatever you want, but I personally prefer the stock option because it's a bit more hidden. But if you want to go for a really custom look, you can go for the dual exhausts. You can go crazy with the hood options. You got secondary and you got carbon. Of course, you got a lot of crazy vents with all those options. And then you got a cool guard too. But I personally just want like the guard or whatever you call that thing that looks like a unibrow. The liveries are pretty nice and well detailed, but I believe that these are reused across other vehicles such as the Vapid Karakara. If you're the type of person that likes to put liveries on anything, then this truck really gives you a lot to work with. And I would of course understand you putting a livery because it just looks pretty good. For the color, I'll just make it a red for the primary and the secondary. I could just easily just go for white, but I feel like it would be boring if I just leave it as white. It also looks very similar to the Arctic version, the same on the Top Gear as I said before. It is also a red. The secondary color does not transfer over unless you put like a secondary option such as a hood or a roof. When I'm done customizing this truck, I'll discuss more about the texture, quality, and detail. I'll also discuss its performance and its off-roading. So stay tuned for that if you do not have this truck. If you do have this truck, tell me if you like it, if it handles well. I'm sure there's quite a few people out there that like to use this truck daily. The roll cage option does not make any changes in the interior, only in the back of the truck. Very strangely, but I guess it makes sense since, the bars in the back. You really have a lot of freedom with the options here if you're into any of these. Most of the options have the vortex generators put on, like you cannot remove them, which really is unfortunate, but it's okay. I mean, it looks fine with the roof empty. You can make the suspension really low, but it just looks really silly with it all the way down. Doesn't really make much sense, especially with the large tires. The detail and texture quality is acceptable, but it does leave a lot to be desired in the engine model. The overall truck is very solid. The exterior details look really good. The grille looks great. The headlights are decent, not the best, but it really looks good. Of course, the bumper looks great. It overall matches a real life Hilux, and unfortunately, the interior is reused across other pickup trucks and SUVs from previous years. But a lot of people do not play in first person, so it really isn't a big deal. As you can see, the doors are floating because they're not really connected, but many people wouldn't notice this detail. Everything else is pretty good. As I said, it's very solid design. The speed is decent and the handling is acceptable, but it can be sketchy over corners depending on how fast you take them. This truck is very top heavy and it can spin out, as you'll see in the footage in a bit. I wouldn't recommend it to compete against other vehicles. If you play a lot in public lobbies, you probably won't be able to outrun other vehicles such as the Night Shark and or Insurgent. I'm sure there's quite a few other vehicles. Of course, you can't outrun the missiles. If you're a solo player like me and you have to deal with that stuff constantly, unfortunately, this vehicle isn't really perfect for that, for free mode. If you participate in free mode events such as the business battles, I do not recommend to use this truck at all. Always stick to the Mark II Oppressor. Of course, this is a bit of a tangent, but there is no protection against missiles or anything for this truck. It's capable at off-roading, but it can spin out or roll over if you go too fast over the steep inclines, unfortunately. There are a few other off-road alternatives, such as a Camacho, that does not really struggle from that. Due to the Everon having large tires and a high ride height, it is prone to rolling over. So you really have to be careful how you go up the hills or mountains. Uh, Especially with speed, you can't really go too fast. You gotta slow down, which does suck. There are a few alternatives that, of course, take it like a champ, but they don't. As you can see, it really did roll over. It doesn't really grip too well. But if you like this truck, it really isn't a big deal. If you found my video useful, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps a lot. And as always, thanks for watching.